Now on KGW News, new video that shows the reason I-84 was shut down most of the day. Plus, we learn the name of the man who drowned in the Columbia while trying to save a life. And a nonprofit cleans up after protests over the abortion ruling turn destructive, and wonder why they were targeted.
Free speech doesn't mean come disrupt places that are actually doing good community work.
Then later, a tale of one city seeing a population boom.
You can get a lot more for your money here.
Why so many are crossing the river to Vancouver. Your news starts now. But first tonight, as we come to the end of this mini heat wave, Portlanders are demanding action to combat climate change. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter. They're also marking 1 year since the historic heat wave that killed about 100 Oregonians. As Galen Etlin reports, activists say the city's promises don't match its actions.
Inferno here!
A small demonstration in front of Portland City Hall Monday marked the anniversary of 2021's historic heat dome.
This was an event that we knew was going to be inevitable because of the climate crisis.
I claimed 96 Oregon lives with that hot mess.
Climate change is here. It's real. It's killing people.
Lynn Handlin with the nonprofit Extinction Rebellion PDX called out the city.
They need to, for realsies, act now on a climate emergency.
For the continuity of the human race, there's nothing less at stake.
On Sunday, Mayor Ted Wheeler and Multnomah County leaders memorialized lives lost to the historic heat dome. He said in 2020, the city declared a climate emergency. And now, 2 years later, $4 million is budgeted for climate action to make buildings greener and to plant trees in neighborhoods that are heat islands.
The best time to have planned for these emergencies was 20 years ago. But we didn't.
He has all the right words. We need deeds. We need action.
Diane Meisenhelter says the city's actions are not enough.
If we don't do prevention, it's not going to work and harm will happen. Deaths will continue.
Extinction Rebellion PDX says the city's goals to cut emissions are at odds with its decision to approve the widening of I-5 by the Rose Quarter.
You widen freeways, you have more cars. Climate change is worse. The air quality in the area is worse.
We are appalled by the city's inaction.
The group is calling on an end to construction of buildings that use natural gas and for the city to reduce emissions by 10% annually.
Were you hot and bothered?
The bigger goal is to prevent an increasing number of weather events like the heat dome that killed so many.
It is a disgrace to their memory if we don't address the cause of these rising temperatures.
This is a somber week to remember.
A small demonstration with a big message.
That's the only way we're going to solve this, is to work together across the generations and across groups.
City and county leaders have declared this heat week in memory of the heat dome, and that's to raise awareness of resources and heat preparedness. Events this week include seminars, bike rides, and first aid trainings. We've linked to the event listings on KGW.com. Laurel?
Thank you, Galen. Let's bring in meteorologist Joe Ranieri now with a look at how our summers have been heating up over the years. Joe?
You know, Laurel, it's kind of interesting to see some of these numbers now. These numbers come from Climate Central, and we're obviously seeing an increase in the world's temperatures across the globe, obviously. But what I found interesting is what we've seen in the last 50 plus years throughout parts of the desert Southwest. That's not surprising. You're seeing a bit of a warm up, but throughout the Pacific Northwest, we're starting to see our temperatures warm up basically 3 to 4 degrees warmer this every summer over the last 50 plus years. I know it's kind of tough to see on this map, but bright red basically from Portland all the way down into southern Oregon and northern California. Now is what we kind of look at what we've seen over the last 10 years or so in terms of 90 degrees or warmer. Well, we've seen 3 days here in a row with temperatures 90 or above. We topped out at 96 earlier this afternoon. Going back to last summer, we've 24 days with temperatures 90 or above, and that's been kind of the trend over the last several years, especially in 2018. We saw 31 days with temperatures 90 or above. There was a bit of a cool down in 2019 and 2020, if you will, but still you kind of get the idea. We are seeing our summers get a little bit hotter compared to the last 40 or 50 years. So here's a look what we saw earlier today. We topped out at 96 degrees. Average is at 77 degrees. And Laurel, if you're kind of done with the heat, with I think a lot of people are after 3 days in a row with temperatures flirting with 100 degrees really the last 2 days, we are going to be seeing a cool down heading into tomorrow. I'll talk more about that and what we can expect to see over the last couple of days of June.
I think a lot of folks will welcome that cooler air. Thank you, Joe. In developing news tonight, we learned the name of the man presumed dead after jumping into the Columbia River to save a struggling swimmer. He's been identified as 35-year-old Kevin McDowell of Portland. He went underwater near the west end of Government Island near I-205 yesterday evening. A Multnomah County Sheriff's dive team and Portland firefighters searched yesterday and today, but have not found McDowell's body. Witnesses say McDowell was not wearing a life jacket. The swimmer he went in to save did survive. Crews will attempt to find McDowell again when conditions improve. Now let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines. I-84 back open following a major crash this morning in the gorge. You can see why. That's new video. It shows the immediate aftermath. ODOT says a semi-truck carrying a construction crane blew a tire, crashed through the central freeway barrier, and then you see what happened. It caught fire. The driver amazingly escaped with only minor injuries. The crash shut the interstate down, though, between Troutdale and the Dalles for hours today, but it reopened a little after 3:30 this afternoon. Portland police need your help finding the suspects from a smash and grab burglary. It happened about 2 this morning at a mini mart on Northeast Sandy and 90th Avenue. And you can see the suspects back their car straight into the store. Then they ran in and grabbed just as many things as they could and got out of there. So far, police haven't made any arrests. And tonight, a horrific discovery in San Antonio. 46 people were found dead in and near a tractor trailer. Officials say they were all part of a presumed migrant smuggling attempt. 16 others were taken to hospitals, 4 of them children. The San Antonio Fire Department chief said there were no signs of any water or working air conditioning in the truck. Those sent to the hospital suffered heat stroke and exhaustion. 3 people were also taken into custody. Now to the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Access to abortion now largely comes down to what the laws in each state say. And some companies are now offering to help their employees travel if needed to get an abortion. And that includes some locally based ones. Christine Pitawanich has more.
The Supreme Court ruling that overturned Roe v. Wade created a shockwave in many communities across the country. Roughly half the states in the U.S. are poised to ban or restrict abortion, where more than 300,000 abortions were performed last year. Oregon businesses have responded. Columbia Sportswear on Friday said in part, should an employee or covered individual need immediate services, our goal is to provide access to health care that existed before today's Supreme Court decision. Intel also sent out a statement saying the company would provide resources for people needing to travel for safe and timely health care. Other companies did the same.
Our founder, Kim, and I had a conversation about the importance of really just showing up for our team members. We want them to know that their care is our number one priority. I'm Todd Woodruff, and I am the Chief People Officer for Salt and Straw. I look after the human side of the business, the people side of the business.
Todd Woodruff says in addition to the Salt and Straw locations in Oregon and California, the company has about 120 employees in Florida and a handful of employees in Texas and North Dakota.
And so as an organization, we want to make sure that all of our team members have the ability to go to a safe place for that kind of care.
Meantime, on LinkedIn, Adidas, Keen Footwear, and Wild, a cannabis edibles company out of Clackamas, also posted messages indicating travel and lodging expenses would be covered should an employee need to go to a state where abortion is legal. Wyden and Kennedy, an international advertising agency out of Portland, has also said it would do the same.
That was Christine Pitawanich reporting. There are still questions over how companies would balance employee privacy with this support and how much they'd be willing to pay for the travel. We will continue to follow any developments and the impact following the Supreme Court's decision here on air and online at KGW.com. And for breaking news sent straight to your phone, download the KGW News app. Protests in the wake of the Roe v. Wade ruling turned to vandalism in Portland. Police say demonstrators are responsible for thousands of dollars in damage to businesses and nonprofits over the weekend. One of those hit was the Mother and Child Education Center in Northeast Portland. The nonprofit had its windows broken and property spray painted. The executive director can't understand why protesters would target them since it's not religiously affiliated and is aimed to help mothers and fathers raise kids.
I just sat here and cried, like sat here that night and was just crying. I'm like, wow, all this good work. I work really hard. We all work really hard. We have wonderful volunteers. We have clients that come back and volunteer with us. And it's like, really? This is how you're going to treat us? It's heartbreaking.
We saw more protests Sunday night. Police gave us photos of the damage in the southeast Portland area. We're told officers did respond, but were attacked with paint balloons, large rocks, and fireworks. They're asking anyone with information on who's responsible for all the damage to contact police. A man accused in a heinous attack in downtown Portland appeared in court today. He's accused of beating up two men in their 80s, and the district attorney released new details about the case tonight. 29-year-old Keffer White is accused of randomly attacking the men near the Portland State campus Saturday. Prosecutors say White approached the group while they were waiting for a bus and began to yell and make fun of them for being elderly. He then allegedly headbutted an 88-year-old and shoved him to the ground. Investigators say he then went after an 83-year-old who was using a cane and pushed him into the street. He's then accused of kicking the men in the head. According to court documents, White has 4 felony convictions already and was on parole at the time of the attack. He is now charged with attempted murder in this case. The victims tonight are in the hospital in critical condition.